In this video, I will explain about Hibernate caching concept. I'll show two examples. One example of using L1 cache, another example of using L2 cache. I'll be explaining L1 cache in Hibernate. Also, I will explain L2 cache in Hibernate. First of all, what is the meaning of caching? Caching is nothing. It is about storing data in temporary memory in Java layer to improve the performance. Storing data in the Java layer to improve the performance is called caching. As we know, data is mostly stored in the database, but now I am talking about storing data in the Java layer itself to improve the performance of retrieval. That is called as caching. Say we have a Java application. We have a Java application which is trying to do some database operations in a database. We have the Java application and we have the database. The Java application interacts with the database using a layer of Hibernate, and Hibernate, as we know, is a layer on top of JDBC. And JDBC is implemented by the different JDBC drivers. The Java application interact with the database by opening a database connection. Database is a separate application. It's a separate software. The Java application connect to the database using something called as the connection. Now for the Java application to send SQL queries to the database and for the database to compile the query and to return the result, it is going to take more time. The database might be in the same machine of the Java application, or the database might be in a remote machine also. So what is the problem now is, for the Java application to connect to a remote database, always it will take more time for the data to get transferred over the network. So for the Java application to send SQL queries to the database, for the queries to get compiled and to get the result back, it's going to take more time. Not only for the network delay, it also needs time for retrieval of data and the query compilation. Every time the SQL query has to get compiled in the database, that itself is going to take some small time. And depending upon the number of rows in a particular table or different tables, again it's going to take more time for retrieval of data from database. To fetch a few records from a database which contains millions and billions of rows, it's going to take a lot of time. To retrieve a few number of rows from a large database which holds millions and billions of rows, it's going to take a lot of time. So now how can we improve the performance? Now to reduce the delay in data retrieval and to improve the performance, we can use a concept called as caching in Java. Caching is not just a Hibernate related concept. Caching is a general concept in software development. Caching is a general concept in software development. Rather than going to an external database every time, once you retrieve the data from the database, the data can be temporarily held in the Java layer itself. So you can hold the data temporarily in the Java layer itself. That is what we call it as caching. You can just hold the data in the Java objects within the Java application. That is what we call it as caching. So data once retrieved from the database, you can hold it directly in the Java application itself within the JVM. This is what we call it as caching. So caching is all about storing the data temporarily in the Java application itself. This is done to improve the performance. Say for example, you consider an application like Gmail, Yahoo Mail, etc., which is supposed to display a list of countries. Whenever you try to do a registration in these websites, it asks you to fill a form which populates a list of countries. Now you know that the list of countries are not going to change every day. You don't have to keep writing SQL queries to the database. Say we have a database table called as country table, which contains all the list of countries. Now every time the form is displayed, say in a day the form is displayed 10,000 times or 10 lakh times. Every time you don't have to fire an SQL query to the database. In a day you don't have to keep asking the same question to the database every time. Just because the form is accessed a lakh time or 10,000 time, you do not have to write 10,000 SQL queries repeating the same question, because you know that the list of countries are not going to change frequently. So what you can do is you can temporarily cache the data. Once the data is retrieved, you can hold the data in the Java layer itself for some time. So the list of countries are just stored in the Java objects. The list of countries are just stored in the Java layer itself. So instead of writing 10 lakh or 1 lakh or 10,000 SQL queries repeating the same question to the database, you can just store the data. So with that, we can reduce the number of database hits also. So it improves the performance because you don't have to go to the external software to retrieve data. Not only it improves the performance, it also reduces the database load. Database is a limited resource. A database will have its own limitations on the bandwidth, etc. So we do not have to keep repeating sending queries to the database. You can temporarily cache the data once it is retrieved from the database. This is what we call it as caching. It's not necessary that you need Hibernate for doing caching or you need any other caching libraries. Maintaining a caching is not very difficult. It is just about storing data in some Java objects. Storing data in Java objects to improve the performance, that is what you call it as caching. That is the basic caching concept. Now caching reduces the number of database hits and improves the application performance also. It reduces the number of database hits, so it reduces the load on the database and also it improves the application performance. The only disadvantage with caching is it has a possible risk of working with stale data. Caching has a possible risk of working with stale data. Means when you retrieve data from database and store it temporarily in the Java application, meanwhile the database data may get changed. So data which is not in sync, that is called as stale data. After you retrieve the data from the database and store it in the cache, it is possible that database data may get changed meanwhile. So that is a possible risk. So data which is not in sync or data which is outdated, that is called as stale data. So caching has this huge risk of working with stale data. In Hibernate, we have two layers of caching. One is called as level 1 or L1 cache. Another is called as level 2 or L2 cache. In Hibernate, we have level 1 or L1 cache and level 2 or L2 cache. L1 is called as session cache. It is already inbuilt in Hibernate. You do not have to do anything about it. L1 is inbuilt cache. It is also called as session cache because this kind of caching is available only within the same session. Another is called as L2 cache or process cache. This kind of caching is not inbuilt. If you want L2 cache, we have to use separate third-party libraries. So why we are going to take this work of using external caching libraries and achieve L2 cache? Because it is a process cache which can cache across multiple sessions. So the inbuilt caching mechanism of Hibernate is called as L1 cache. This mechanism is available only within the same session. Across multiple sessions, if you want cache, then you must configure some third-party caching libraries. That is called as L2 cache or process cache. L1 cache is an inbuilt cache. You do not have to do anything special about it. It is always there. L1 cache is always there. It is a mandatory cache. You can never stop it. First of all, I'll show you where is the L1 cache. I'll write some small program which will show that we already have inbuilt L1 cache in Hibernate. L1 cache is a very safe cache. Hibernate will ensure that there is no stale data working. L1 cache is a safe cache. Hibernate ensures that everything is safe and you are not working with stale data. Now I'll write a small program in Eclipse. You start Eclipse and go and start your database also. I am working with August 28 database which has got some employee table. I want to retrieve data from the employee table right now. We already have the mapping for that done. I am making use of the employee table and the employee mapping which was already done before. And I am trying to do some get operations. I have this employee mapping which is already done before. In my previous examples, I am just going to do some get method on the employee. I am just going to do some get operation on the employee. This will demonstrate the concept of L1 cache. As usual, I open the session, I close the session. Now I write a get method to retrieve employee data. Now we have one session. We have one session starting and closing. I am doing a get method. I run the program now. You can see that Hibernate has generated one SQL query and sent it to the database corresponding to the get method. Now I am going to repeat the same call again. Within the same session, I am repeating the same call again. I am again trying to look for employee ID 1. Now you see what happens. Ideally, we will be thinking that there will be an SQL query here and there will be one more SQL query required. But you see what happens now. If you check the whole logs, you will see only one select query. What it means is the second time data is just retrieved from the cache. There are two get calls. First time the call goes to the database. Now the data is available in the session. This is a single session now. First time a call goes to database, data is retrieved from the database. Now the data is available in the session. Second time the data is just picked from the session. Second time the call doesn't go to database, the data is just picked from the session, from within the session itself. This is called as L1 cache. If the data is already there in the session, it is just picked from the session. With that I completed the concept of L1 cache. It is an inbuilt mechanism. If the same data is already available within the same session, it is picked from there and a new query is not executed. So this is going to reduce the number of hits in the database and improves performance. So here there is no database call. So it reduces the number of hits on the database and improves the performance of the application. Second time you will get the data very fast because you don't have to go to database to fetch it. This kind of mechanism is available only within the same session. If data is there in a different session, you won't get it. If data is there in the same session, you will get it. If data is there in a different session, you will not get it. If you want to retrieve data from a different session, then you must use something called as L2 cache. As I told, L1 is the session cache. It's already inbuilt. It is mandatory. You cannot stop it. This caching will happen only within the same session. Now, if we want caching across multiple sessions, then we should use something called as L2 cache. L2 is called as the process cache. Using that, we can cache across multiple sessions. Now I'll show you how to use L2 cache. Hibernate cache architecture. We have L1 cache, which is only within the same session. If you use L2 cache, you will get caching across sessions. It is called as cache concurrency. Caching across many sessions. This is across the same session. This is caching across multiple sessions. That is what is called as cache concurrency. Even query result also can be cached. Say when you are executing HQL query or criteria API query, even that result also can be cached using L2 cache. But L2 cache is not inbuilt in Hibernate. If you want L2 cache, you should use separate caching libraries or separate caching providers. With L2 cache, you will get caching across multiple sessions. It is called as cache concurrency. Also, you can cache queries. And L2 cache is available only by using third-party libraries. It is not inbuilt in Hibernate. Cache types and libraries. We have a different type of cache as we know. First is called as transaction cache. This kind of cache is available within the same session. It is inbuilt in Hibernate. The inbuilt cache is only within same session. It is also called as transaction cache. Next is called as process cache. This kind of cache is available across multiple sessions. This is what we are looking in L2 cache. This is provided by something called as EH cache libraries or OS cache libraries. These things are freely available and downloaded in the internet. EH cache libraries or OS cache libraries. In my example, I will be using EH cache library to achieve L2 cache. So this is the one which I called as L1 cache, and this is the one which I called as L2 cache. Level 2 cache. I am going to achieve level 2 cache using EH cache. Most people use EH cache. Also we can use OS cache also. The last type of cache is called as cluster cache. It is supposed to be used in cluster environments. Example of cluster cache is JBoss cache and Swarm cache. Right now we are not going to talk anything about cluster cache. Cluster cache is not very widely used. It is not a very widely used cache. It is not the agenda of this tutorial to explain about cluster cache. Our focus is only on session cache and process cache. Session cache I have already demonstrated with an example. Right now I am supposed to demonstrate about process cache by using EH cache libraries. I am supposed to demonstrate process cache or L2 cache. I am going to make use of EH cache libraries. Working with L2 cache is not very difficult. It is very easy to integrate these external caching libraries with Hibernate. Hibernate has got good supporting APIs to make use of these third-party libraries. So very easily you can integrate these second level caching libraries. Now I will show you the step-by-step procedure what you should do to use second level cache. As I told, this is the Java application what I have. It has got employee mapping. I am going to put second level cache here. Right now as you see we have L1 cache. First of all we'll understand when do we need L2 cache. You look at the code what I write. I close this session. Now I open another session. So what you see now is all the code remains same as before, but I have two sessions, session 1 and session 2. We know that data available in session 1 is not available to session 2. Whatever data available in session 1 is not available to session 2. When I run the program, you can see that there are two SQL queries. First time also data is retrieved from the database. First time also data is retrieved from database. Second time also data is retrieved from database. So as you see, there is no caching happening across sessions. This is the session 1 what we have. This is the session 1. Data is retrieved from the database. This data is not available to second session. So here we have another session, session 2. This is the session 2. This also makes separate call to database. So no caching across sessions. Right now there is no caching across sessions. Data available in session 1 is not available to session 2. But what if you want the data to be available here also? In that case, we can make use of L2 cache. If I use L2 cache, then I'll get the same data which is available in session 1. Now I'll show you how to configure L2 cache using separate caching providers. If you use L2 cache, you'll be able to retrieve data from some other session also. Now I'll show you how to enable L2 cache in Hibernate. For that, you have to do 3 small simple steps. Step 1 is to add cache jars. When you download Hibernate, you'll get an optional folder. In that, there are 3 jar files. You add those 3 jar files from the optional cache folder into your project. That's all. That's a step 1. Step 2 is in the Hibernate configuration file, you add these 2 lines. Second level cache true and some factory class called as singleton cache region factory. You add these 2 lines as it is, copy and paste it. Step 3 is you have to go to each of your mapping files. Now we are working with employee. So you go to your employee mapping file. So go to each of your mapping file. Second level cache is a very risky cache. So you yourself should take the risk. You should put what kind of cache you want. You want to say what is the purpose of this cache. Right now I am saying cache usage equal to read only. You mention cache usage equal to read only. What exactly it is, I'll be explaining later. You should put this under the class element. So go to the Hibernate mapping file. Under the class name equal to employee, you have to add cache usage equal to read only. This is for the programs which use mapping file. For the programs which is using annotation approach, you should put this on top of the class. On top of the employee class or product class or any class, you should put cacheable annotation and cache usage equal to read only or read write or anything. On top of the class, you should put what is the cache concurrency strategy. So these are called as cache concurrency strategies. Either you mention in the mapping file or you mention through annotation in the Java class. With that, I completed the 3 steps. It's very easy to do, as you can see. Just put the jar files, add these 2 lines in the Hibernate configuration file and put this in the mapping file. Add the jar, put these 2 lines in the Hibernate configuration file and put this in the mapping file. Once you are done with this, you will see that caching is happening across sessions. Once you do these 3 small changes, you will see that caching is happening across sessions. As I told earlier, we had session 1 and then we had session 2. Data from one session was not available to other session earlier. Now what we want to do is, we want the data from one session to be available to other session. That's why we are using L2 cache. So once you configure L2 cache, you will see that data from one session is available to other session. Now I'll go and perform these three simple steps: adding the jars, putting these two in Hibernate configuration file, and putting this line in the mapping file. Change 1, change 2, change 3. Now you go to the same project and add the jar files. Right click, build path, configure build path as usual. Go to add external jars. Go to the Hibernate download, lib optional ehcache. You will see optional ehcache folder. Under that you select all the three jars. Under that you select all the three jars. With that I completed step 1, that is about adding the jar files. Step 2 is to go to the Hibernate configuration file and add the two lines what I shown. Copy and paste it here. Use second level cache. Cache region factory class singleton ehcache region factory. Paste these two lines in the Hibernate configuration file. Step 2 is in the Hibernate configuration file, you add these two lines carefully. Step 3 is you go to the employee mapping file, go under class name equal to employee. You should add it carefully under the class element. You put cache usage equal to read only. We have other possible values also, like read only, read write, non-strict read write, transactional. Currently I am using read only. More about this I will explain later. So do the three things as it is. In the project you add the jar. Next, in the Hibernate configuration file you add these two lines. Finally, in the employee mapping file you put cache usage equal to read only. So these are the three changes you should do for L2 cache. Adding the ehcache related jar files, that's the change 1. Adding these two properties in the Hibernate configuration file, that is change number 2. And then in the mapping file add cache usage equal to read only, that is the change number 3. That's all about enabling second level cache. Add the three jar files, add these two lines in the Hibernate configuration file, and add this line in the mapping file. With that we have enabled second level cache. Now you can run the same test program and see what happens. Now I open the cache demo program. Once again I run it. Last time there was no caching. Earlier when I ran this program there was no caching. This line was making a call to database. This line was also making a call to database. So there were totally two calls to database. Now we have enabled cache, so there should be only one call. After enabling cache, there should be only one call. Run the application and test. It is mentioned read only cache is configured. If you check all the logs, you see only one SQL query, means caching is working. Now second level cache is working successfully. This is the session 1. Data comes from the database. This is the session 2. Since the data is there in the previous session, it is just pulled from the previous session. It is just pulled from the previous session. It is called as L2 cache. First time the data is retrieved from database. Second time the data is just taken from the previous session. It is called as L2 cache. With that, I have explained the concept of L2 cache. So L2 cache is nothing. It is just about sharing data across multiple sessions. That is why it is called as a process cache. It is across sessions. Data is shared across sessions. Now I will overall tell something about this cache usage attribute. Right now it is marked as read only. This is one cache concurrency strategy. So what are the possible cache concurrency strategies? Read only is one strategy. Read write is one strategy. Non-strict read write is one strategy. Transactional is one strategy. It is not possible to thoroughly understand these 4 strategies because these are related to transactional concepts. If you know the transactional concepts, then only you can understand these strategies properly. Overall understanding, read-only strategy is suitable only when you have only read operations happening in the employee table. If you know that there's only read operations, there is no write operations happening, then you say that you want read-only caching. If you have not only read, you have writing also, then you should put read-write. Or you can put non-strict read-write. Or you can put transaction. What does it means? What it means is, if you are doing write operations, you should either select read-write, or you should select non-strict read-write, or you should select transactional. If you are doing write operations, you should select read-write, or you should select non-strict read-write, or you should select transactional. What does it means is, whenever there are writes, there will be more logs. That's all. Whenever there are writes, there will be more logs. Read-write will maintain something called as read committed isolation log. Read committed isolation log. About this we can learn when we learn about transaction. So that's a little severe log. If you don't want severe logs, because severe logs will reduce the performance, then you can put something called as non-strict read-write. Means the logs will be little less severe. This you can use for data which are not critical, non-critical data. Means you are bothered more about the performance. Means you are bothered more about the performance and less about the data. Means there is a possibility of sometimes working with stale data also. There is a possibility of sometimes working with stale data also. You can put it as non-strict read-write. Or you can go with read-write with transactional. So this is very high or more severe locks. I can say that this is severe locks. This is very severe lock. Transactional is very severe lock. Read write is severe lock. Non-strict read write is less severe lock. That's the difference. If you are going to do write operations, then you should select either read write or non-strict read write or transactional. The difference is read write is severe locks, transactional is very severe locks, non-strict read write is less severe locks. Depending upon the criticality of the data, you should select the locks. More locks will reduce the performance, but more lock will give more protection to the data. More locks means more protection for the data and less performance. Second level caching is not good for all situations. You should know when to use second level cache. Second level cache is a very risky cache. You should use it very carefully. Where you can use second level cache is data that changes rarely. Wherever data is frequently changing, you cannot cache it. So if data is not at all going to change, like what I told in the case of the name of the countries, the name of the states, etc., you can cache it. Non-critical data means data which is not financial or money related. Some general news or entertainment, news or entertainment kind of data, content management data, some documents, etc. Non-critical data, you can cache it. Means even sometimes you may get stale data, but doesn't matter much. Data that is local to the application and not shared. All these cases you can use second level caching. Where you cannot use second level caching is data that is updated often. If you know that the data is getting changed frequently, you should not use second level cache. Or financial data which is more critical data, so you should not cache it. Or data which is getting shared across multiple legacy applications, means other than your Hibernate application, there are some other third-party applications like mainframe applications, etc. You should not cache it. So these are the good candidates for caching. These are not so good candidates for caching. So in this video, I have mainly demonstrated how to use level 2 cache. Level 1 cache is inbuilt. Level 2 cache is what we wanted to achieve. For that, you just perform these 3 simple steps. If you just do these 3 things, you will get level 2 cache. And most important thing is, whatever I shown, it will work only for the Hibernate 4.1 jar files, which you can take from me. These lines, these configurations are not same for all Hibernate versions. These configurations should be done differently for different versions of Hibernate. So I cannot guarantee that this is going to work everywhere. So these 2 lines are supposed to work only with the 4.1 jars which I am having. So try this example only with the jars what you take from me. Still now I shown 2 examples, one for level 1 cache. For that you don't have to do anything. This feature is already inbuilt. You see that caching was happening within the same session. Within the same session, caching was happening. L2 cache is not inbuilt, it is external. Why we need L2 cache? That is to cache across multiple sessions. For that you must use third-party libraries. I am using EHCache. Most people use EHCache for second level caching. So this kind of caching is across multiple sessions. It can cache. This kind of caching is within same session only.